Welcome back, Heat Seekers. We are going to help you guys out with some IDP waiver wire pickups. Thank you for everybody that watched last week's waiver wire video and made it successful. Make sure you comment below if you have questions, and let's get to it.
Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire.
Welcome back. And as always, rotoheat.com, rotoheat.com, rotoheat.com. You can find all the articles. You can find start sits. You can find all sorts of great content, our rankings, Devy stuff. We've got it all over there. So with that being said, Mr. Reith, how are we doing today, my friend?
I'm all right. It's always interesting on a Monday after football, digging into stuff to see what happened, what you missed, who got hurt, and all the good stuff that we dig into to bring to the people.
Well, there was a lot of it this week, but luckily enough, next man up mentality. So what do we got at linebackers? Who are we talking about?
Yeah, so we're going to start off with a rookie. There's going to be a few of them this week in general, but one of them that ended up starting the season when there wasn't a clear expectation that he would be. That's Nick Bolton of the Kansas City Chiefs. He is out of Missouri, and we really liked him and talked about him a lot here as a guy that's sort of an old school thumper type of linebacker, and he's shown that in the NFL thus far. He hasn't shown himself to be great against coverage, but a lot of rookie linebackers aren't, but he's getting playing time. He had a 76% snap share week 1, 83 in that week 2 loss against the Ravens. He's had 4 solos, 3 assists, a tackle for a loss week 1, and then 8 solos, an assist, and a tackle for a loss. So he's getting the playing time, and he's producing. He's getting you those stats that you're going to want out of a linebacker, and he's on the field. Willie Gay, who he'd been in competition with and it looked like he would probably lose to start the season, got hurt with a turf toe injury. We know how that can end up lingering. He's at least out for another week, so Bolton's our first guy.
Yeah, Bolton is excellent. We loved him preseason. We loved him where he landed. Perfect spot for him.
Number 2 is an old veteran of the IDP leagues, Denzel Perryman. He's got a new home. He went to the Panthers this offseason, then got traded to the Raiders at the end of August. He has a lot of experience in that Gus Bradley defense because he was with them the past 4 years, the Chargers. He was second in linebacker snaps week 1, and then he led them in week 2, and he's had nice stats each week: 5 solos, 5 assists, a fumble recovery week 1, 6 solos, 6 assists in week 2. And he's been around that 75% snap share, which again is right up there near the top of the team each week. And with Nicholas Morrow not coming back yet, they clearly need sort of a steady hand to that linebacker crew. Bradley's comfortable with him. He's going to get you tackles. He's not going to do a whole lot for you in coverage. But with the Raiders, surprisingly, leading and then keeping games close, he's going to have a great opportunity in this next week against a probably Tua-less Dolphins offense.
Yeah, he's he really is a really good fit for what the Raiders want to do with their linebackers on defense. So I've enjoyed the fact that you've been able to scoop them up and use them if need be. Because we were having this conversation with tight ends in some of the chats here on YouTube recently. Is sometimes you want a guy that the floor. You know what you can expect out of him, and Perryman is that type of guy. So you'll get a solid floor. May not be the sexiest play at linebacker, but with injuries that have been happening, I talked to a few folks that were trying to get Bradley Chubb in their lineups, but he's been hurt, not playing well. A guy like this fills in nicely if you're running into that problem. So great choice.
Last one, it's again sort of an injury situation. Justin Strnad, linebacker for the Denver Broncos. It was just announced, I think, within the past hour or two that Josie Jewell is going to be out for the year with a torn pec, and that's the guy that he came in and replaced in week 2. He didn't play week 1. It was around 20% snaps and just had a solo. But in the 40-some%, I think it was about 41% here week 2, he had 4 solos and 2 assists replacing Jewell. And it looks like he's going to get the first crack to do that for the team. He's been with the team for a couple of years, and they were excited last offseason before he ended up being out for the year. He got hurt in August. So they like him. They're going to be in a position with a really, upstart defense, again, one that we sort of knew was going to be good, but it was better than even some of us have expected. He's going to be able to sit in there in the middle. And then just to throw in another name, since Brad brought it up, Chubb, if he ends up look like he's going to be out, Malik Reed is a great pickup for an edge guy also on that Broncos team.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this team and where they're at is Von Miller is back to being Von Miller, and that really
Yep.
helps all those linebackers. So Strnad and Reed, all great choices. All right, moving on to DBs, and there are a cornerback involved if you guys need
That's
to play
right.
quarterback. So who do we got?
And just sort of toot our own horn here quick for you. The cornerbacks, I know a lot of you don't play cornerback leagues, but in terms of having value, we talked about last week, Taron Johnson. And the reason that I bring it up is going to be something similar here. It's the guy sort of opposite with the guy that we had talked about as the main guy, Tre'Davious White. And for the cornerbacks, I'm just going to go to that one quick, pull an audible on Brad here. Because we did so well last week, I'm sort of going back to that same well with a guy that has played 100% of cornerback snaps both weeks. About there's 199, and that's Darious Williams of the Los Angeles Rams. He's opposite Jalen Ramsey, who everyone knows is just an amazing cornerback. He's had 2 great weeks so far, 5 solos, 2 assists, a pass deflection, and then 7 solos and a pass deflection this past week. They're going to be playing Tampa Bay coming up here this week 3 game, which we know how Tampa Bay has been chucking that ball around. Brady looks like he's trying to go for that touchdown record, passing record. Who knows what he's trying to do, but they are throwing the ball around, and that's how you get points from cornerbacks. So we hit it really great last week with Taron Johnson having an amazing week this week for you guys. So hopefully if you're in quarterback leagues, we can keep it rolling for you. Now, going to the safeties, Quandre Diggs is the first one for Seattle. Jamal Williams, sort of a similar thing where, he's the main guy there. Everyone knows and loves Jamal Williams, but Diggs has been quietly having a really nice year so far. He's had 100% of snap share each week, 7 solos, 2 assists week 1, and then 5 solos, 5 assists week 2. They're bringing in the Vikings as their next opponent. Vikings are giving up a lot of points to safeties and are throwing the ball around quite a bit themselves to try to keep up with these teams, and Minnesota will probably need to do that to keep up with Seattle again. So Diggs is another guy that I think will have a good shot at safety for you.
Yeah, and like we talked about with it's the Jalen Ramsey effect in Seattle. It's the Jamal Adams effect. Whoever's across from him, they're going to try to not target Jamal Adams any more than they have to. So I definitely love the Diggs play, and for me, it was whoever was the other guy. So Marquise Blair has been the name that they wanted to be successful and wanted to grow into something, but hasn't yet. So might as well keep rolling with Diggs while you can. That's a good choice.
And then our last defensive back, it's another safety, Rayshawn Jenkins. He's safety for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He is had 100% snap share both the first 2 weeks. Next safety in line is only around 70% each week. That's Andrew Wingard. But Rayshawn's had 6 solos, a tackle for a loss, pass deflection, and then I think it was the exact same stat line, or very close to it, week 2. So he's been consistent, and they're playing the Cardinals coming up here. So he's the guy sort of back there. They paid him like that. If you look at the contract, and that'll be in the article, we'll have it linked to. They paid him a bunch of money coming from the Chargers and what a lot of people had deemed to be a head scratcher, but they clearly had a plan for him in this defense. And he's still a guy that isn't owned in a lot of leagues at this point. Okay.
Yeah, definitely a fan of Jenkins, and that team is going to be facing a lot of passes, and Jenkins is the last line of defense. So smart move. He's going to get you. He has the ability to get you a good amount of tackles, and every so often he might throw you in something special, interception, pass breakups, things like that. So well played. What do we got from the defensive line position?
So this will be interesting because we're going to have 2 rookies in here, which is something that we don't advise you in redraft, which, of course, these are mainly directed towards to be going taking rookies high because you got to see how things pan out and how they do. But one of them that I've come around on some just from what I've seen and where he went as far as the team and then what he's done in the field so far in the preseason and the regular season is Greg Rousseau, picked by the Buffalo Bills. He was a guy that we talked about is great at getting to the quarterback and needed help on a lot of other areas. And if you look at sort of how he's graded out very well at pass rushing and needing help in all the other areas. But he is getting snaps. First week, he was second with a 52 snap share, although it is to be noted that the Bills' leading defensive end had a 57% snap share. They're in a huge rotation there. But he had 2 solos week 1. And this past week, when they faced the Dolphins, he led the team with a 66% snap share. And that was well above Mario Addison, who was the next this past week with 47. And part of it could have been the garbage time thing where, they were up big and Miami's going to have to throw the ball and you can just pin your ears back and go after the quarterback. But he had 3 solos, 2 assists, 2 tackles for a loss, and 2 sacks. So why are we putting him in here? Well, he's getting that more playing time. Clearly, they like what they've seen from him. And they are going to be going against another team coming up here. And, it's I've completely forgotten, Brad, offhand.
Oh, no, but I can pull it up.
No, I'm pulling it up here. This is great podcasting. Sorry, folks.
All right.
I didn't my notes. It's not in here. Washington.
Oh, yeah, no, Washington. Yep.
Who has had some issues protecting their quarterback, and it's Taylor Heineke. We know it's not the starter there. And the Bills are going to be putting up points as they've shown. They sort of figured that stuff out the first week, and they just exploded in what a lot of people thought might be a close game. So I think he's going to have opportunities here. It's more of a big play sort of thing. If you're in a tackle-heavy league, I probably wouldn't target him. But he just has an immense upside that the Bills are looking to utilize here clearly at the start of the season.
Well, and we talked about early in the process preseason, the Bills guys on the edge are older. They're going to need a little bit more rest to keep them healthy. You want that veteran leadership, but you also want that youth, that athletic ability, and Rousseau brings that upside. So it's a smart play, and we did not anticipate it happening this quickly, that he would be heavily involved. I mean, this is more involvement in the defense than I anticipated. So it's a good play to go get him if you need some help.
Yeah. And it's sort of the same thing, but not exactly, with this next guy who's another rookie, Payton Turner. He's for the New Orleans Saints. So he didn't play in week 1, but that's when Marcus Davenport got hurt, and he's going to be out a little while here with a pec injury. He's not out for the year, but it will be a bit. He being Turner this past week, only played 41% of the snaps, but he graded out very well across the board, run defense, pass defense, all of it. But he was second in line after Cam Jordan for the Saints this week, which is of note. And then he just had a great game in general. He had 4 solos and assists, 3 tackles for a loss, and a sack. This is a position we've talked about on this show and in articles where the Saints have been trying to find someone consistent across from Cam Jordan for a long time. Like most of his career, they just haven't had a consistent person there. I'm not saying Turner's going to be that, but this is the sort of promising stat line in a game that was out of control, and they didn't really have to be throwing the ball a whole lot, they being the Panthers. He still got out there, got playing time, and produced with it. And without a whole lot of other talent there, it's nice to see him produce. So he's a good guy to keep your eye on or go pick up and put on your bench, and hopefully he can continue it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this last one is a defensive tackle, right? So we're splitting a little D tackle for those of you who need a D tackle.
Yeah, and this guy this week, as a Cowboys fan, if you're in a deeper just defensive line leagues, you might consider just playing him anyway. Javon Hargrave, defensive tackle for the Eagles. He's the number 2 D tackle on this team after Fletcher Cox, and I do believe they lost Brandon Graham, who is a defensive end for the year. So they're going to be mixing things up here a bit, but he's had sort of a 70% Hargrave is right away. He's been right up there with Fletcher Cox in terms of the snap shares week to week. Cox led him by 1%, 56 to 57, and then 71, 73 in the second week. So they're both out there pretty much the same amount of time. They're both producing. Week 1, Hargrave had 3 solos, 2 assists, 2 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks. Yes, we know some of those stack, but that's part of the beauty of IDP when you're going to be counting all of those. And if you only count some of them, keep that in mind. Week 2 in San Francisco, 2 solos, 5 assists, 2 tackles for a loss. And yes, they play my Cowboys on Monday night this coming week, a week from today. As we know, they're just past crazy, the Cowboys, and they aren't protecting very well on that interior line, especially. So they're going to have opportunities. It's always a fight when you have the Eagles and the Cowboys, especially like on a big primetime game. And I think Hargrave has a great shot to reproduce similar stats. Cox would be the guy, but he's more highly owned in defensive tackle, interior line leagues already. So if you're looking for something that's probably available with a good shot at producing at D tackle, Hargrave I like this week.
Yeah, he's in a perfect spot because you can't double team anybody on this line because then somebody else is going to break through. So you have to. It's almost picking your poison. So because Cox is so good, Hargrave will get those opportunities. And, and even with Graham out, I mean, their defensive line has got some talent across it. So it's a great spot to be in. And I think Hargrave is an awesome pickup. So it's a good call this week for sure. We do thank you guys, and I do apologize. My phone keeps ringing. I must be very popular, even though I didn't realize I was. We thank you guys for hanging out with us today. RotoHeat.com will get you everything you need when it comes to rankings, player evaluations, all the fun stuff that you see us talking about on stream. But if you do need help, you can find us on our Twitter handles. You can throw comments, questions in these videos. We will answer them. We work to stay on top of that. We thank you guys for always just hanging out with us. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the comment or hit the notification icon so you can stay up to date when we drop or go live or do all that other fun stuff. Good luck this week, and we'll see you later.